The title of the sermon this morning is Nappy is Not Negative. Nappy is not negative. Amen?
Amen.
It is your connection to your spiritual power. Nappy is not negative, but it's always looked at as so. Amen?
Amen.
And you're going to, well, Pastor, where you going with this message? But we're going to tie it in to the power that Sampson had in his natural nappy hair. Amen? Nappy, when we look at the word nappy, it's historically rooted in racism. And it is generally considered an offensive term, particularly when referring to our hair texture. The word nappy was derived from the word nap, which usually describes the fuzziness of some type of fabric. And when the slaves were all around, people would say that their hair resembled the nap from fabric, and the word nappy came as a derogatory term to describe black hair. So the negative associations also with the word nappy, amen? It implies that black hair is messy, unkept, and undesirable. And if whoever is the bearer of the hair is also looked at as unkept, messy, and undesirable. And what that does is that reinforces stereotypes in society. In society, having nappy hair leads to people to perpetuate harmful stereotypes about black hair and black people, even among ourselves. Sometimes our criticism comes most harsh from our own folks, amen?
Amen.
Nappy-headed, and you need to do something with that, you need to do something with this, and all of the information or the criticism, a lot of it comes from our own folks. But let's look at the connection and cultural spirituality of the natural hair. After 400 years of bondage, we have been stripped of a knowledge of self. Our culture and our moral ways and our spirituality, our history has all but been lost.
Amen.
And we don't talk the same these days. We don't dress the same as we used to. We don't worship like we used to for fear of being connected to the nappy group. We have moved away from others who look like us and try to assimilate with those who do not look like us. We assimilate into their ways and their customs, and we forget about what God has delivered us from.
Amen.
But when you look in the mirror, the one thing that connects you back to your culture is your nappy hair. That's important. Amen?
Amen.
Your nappy hair, your broad nose, your beautiful natural features are your only connection to those who wept on their knees after slave ships disappeared in the distance. Your nappy hair is your connection to the original Hebrew Israelites of the world.
Amen.
That's you, that's me. That's not a negative connotation. Nappy is not negative. Nappy is powerful. It's a connection, a spiritual power that connects us back to our homeland.
Amen.
To our moral ways, to our culture, to our religion, to our spiritual connection to God. Amen?
Amen.
So when we look at this, that's the only connection you have now, because you don't talk the same, we don't act the same, we don't live in the same ways, we don't eat the same, but the only thing that's left when you look at yourself is your natural nappy hair. That's your connection back to your spirituality. But it's hard. It says we're also trying so hard to erase that too. That's not to go forsaken. That's also on the list to be destroyed.
Amen.
When we look at the black hair care industry today, Black Hair Markets estimates that we spent $3.2 billion in 2023 on weave. Black women spend 6 to 9 times more on ethnic hair products than non-black consumers. But why, we ask? Is it all to disconnect yourself from whence you come? What's wrong with coming from where you come from? Just like Nathaniel when he asked, can anything good come out of Nazareth? You mean Jesus came from Nazareth? He came from Cabrini Green Projects? You mean that Jesus that came from the hood? From Orange Mound? Yes. There's nothing wrong with being from where you're from, amen? There's nothing wrong from being who you are. There's nothing wrong with loving who you are, because Nappy is not negative, it's powerful.
Amen.
Don't let society dictate your beauty.
Yeah.
Don't let society disconnect you from the power source.
Amen.
Don't let this society disconnect you from your spiritual power and dedication. But it's trying every day to do so.
Amen.
TV, entertainment, even at church, when you're at work, all these little ways of today's society is trying to pull you away from your natural self.
Amen.
You know how they do. You want a promotion. You might want to do something with that. You might want to do something with them lights. You might want to put on 10-inch eyelashes before you go before the boss. You want to make yourself. We're making ourselves more provocative than we have to be. And we all are so scared to just embrace what God has given us. Embrace your natural self, because that's where your strength comes from. Amen? Because your culture was taken away, your clothes was taken away, your foods were taken away, but your hair remains. You're the only human in the world with that type of hair. It connects us to our spiritual power. So let's look at Sampson in the Bible. Sampson was a Nazarite whose power was in his nappy hair. That's where his power came from. The whole story is metaphorically describing your connection to the source. Samson was the one that made that mistake, and he paid dearly for it. He left his home in Israel to reside with the Philistines, his sworn enemy. Who do we know that we do this today? We do this today. We leave from where we're from and want to go live somewhere else that's known to be your enemy. Go somewhere who don't want you there, who's looking for a way to burn your house down as soon as they get a chance. You're trying to assimilate in things that don't want you there. And when you do that, you start losing your culture, losing your identity, losing who you are, because society told you that's how you're supposed to be. And when you disconnect your hair and your style and things that God has naturally given you, you start disconnecting from the power source. Let's look at Judges 14 right quick, verses 1 through 4. It talks about how Samson left where he came from, amen, to go dwell in the land of the enemy. Chapter 14, verse 1 says, and Samson went down to Timnah and saw a woman in Timnah of the daughters of the Philistines. And he came up and told his father and mother, he said, I want this woman I see in Timnah, the daughters of the Philistines. Now, therefore, get her for me for a wife. And what was his father's and mother's reaction to that? She said, then the father and his mother said unto him, is there never a woman among the daughters of thy brethren, or among thy people, that goest and take a wife of the uncircumcised Philistines? Is there not someone you can find here? Is there nothing you can find that's grateful in beauty in your own place? That you're going to go to the place where the uncircumcised Philistine is? Our sworn enemy? And Samson said unto his father, get her for me. She pleases me well. His father and his mother knew not that it was of the Lord that he sought an occasion against the Philistines. For at that time the Philistines had dominion over all of Israel. See, not only does he want to go away from where he come from, but he knows that this union is no doubt lead to a whole war against the Philistines. But he wanted it anyway. He said, it pleases me. So we want to you're looking for things to go away from where you come from. You're looking for a reason to go assimilate somewhere that God don't have you. And just because it feels good, don't make it right. Amen. Because sin ain't never not felt good. Amen. I don't know one sin that hurts to do it. Because if it did, you wouldn't do it. But the devil wants you to like it and enjoy it. I want you to be, once you get all those products and you change who you are, your whole essence, now society smile at you. But knowing inside you have torn up and killed who you are on the inside, and God has walked away from you because you walked away from him. Because that will happen. Because when Sampson cut his hair, he said God left him. We have to be careful, brothers and sisters, because that can happen. It was his need to be loved and accepted that led him to cut off his nappy hair and lost his connection with God. See, Sampson went several times when Delilah tried to get him to find out what is your weakness. When you go somewhere and you laid up with the enemy always in your ear want to know what your weakness is. What's your weakness? How to bring you down? What's your weakness? How to bring your people down? What's your weakness so we can destroy your whole people? But because it feels good, you lay there anyway, not knowing that the devil is working. This is important, especially today, to our young boys and our young girls. Nappy is not negative. Nappy is beautiful. Nappy is powerful. Nappy is a spiritual connection to God. Amen. He was a Nazarite who vowed to never cut his hair, but he made a mistake and did it anyway. Look at Judges chapter 16 as we go on into it. You're going to find out that the enemy is trying to disconnect you from God. Whatever it is, this is, like I say, this is just a metaphor, but whatever it is that connects us to God, the enemy wants to destroy. Amen. And this enemy sometimes is the one who has your pillow at night. Amen. So you got to be careful because there's no punches being drawn or pulled. Amen? Amen. You got to be careful. So it talks about 16 verse 1, talks about how Sampson, he went to Gaza and saw a harlot and went there with her. And it was told that the Gazites saying, Sampson is here, Sampson is here. And they compressed around him and laid wait for him all night in the gate of the city. And were all night saying in the morning, when he comes, we're going to kill him. When he good and comfortable and laid up, we're going to kill him. And Sampson lay until midnight and arose at midnight and took the doors of the gate of the city and the two posts and went away with him, bar and all, and put them on his shoulders and carried them up the hill that is there before Hebron. And it came to pass afterward that he loved a woman in the valley of Sorek, whose name was Delilah. He already left Israel to go over into the land of the Philistines, amen? Wanting to be in love with somebody from somewhere that God has not led him to, amen? Amen. He is a powerful man, amen? Able to kill lions with the bare hand, able to knock buildings down in his own hand. Go back and read chapter 13. You'll see all the prowess that Sampson had. But it was the love of a woman from a whole other place that he fell in love with. And she tried her best, time after time, to find out what it is that his weakness was. I just don't understand how he kept dealing with that. Amen? But we're going to see as we continue to go. And so he met this woman and he fell in love with Delilah. And the Lord of the Philistine came unto her and said unto her, entice him and see where his strength lieth, and by what means we may prevail against him, that we may bind him to afflict him, that we may give thee every one of us 1,100 pieces of silver. So why are they trying to destroy Sampson? Because Samson's connection to Israel and to God, he was going to deliver Israel out the hands of the Philistines. The Philistines had been over them for 40 years. Those enemies have been over you for years, 400 years here in America. And you got to be careful that just because you like something, that they want to destroy you.
Amen.
No matter how good it looks, how much money they may offer you, the ultimate plan is to destroy you.
Preach.
And to get rid of anything that connects you to the power of God.
Amen.
If it's your hair, if it's your culture, if it's your spirit, whatever it is, they're looking to destroy it.
Amen.
And they do it with a soft voice. They came to her and said, entice him. Make him feel comfortable. So, and find out when his guard is down, what's going to make him be destroyed. Because if we can destroy him, we can destroy Israel. If we can destroy Israel, we can destroy this God of theirs that they say came to deliver them. And Delilah said to Samson, tell me, I pray thee, wherein thy great strength lieth, and where might thou be bound and afflict thee? So she tell him, what's your greatest weakness? What could I do that would make me be able to bind you? And Samson lied to her and said to her, if they bind me with 7 green wicks that they never tried, then I shall be weak as any other man. And then the lords of the Philistines brought up to her 7 green wicks that had not been tried, and she bound him with them. So that's the first time she asked him, amen? First time she tried to bind him. There, when the men were lying in wait, abiding with her in the chamber, and she said unto them, to the Philistines, be upon thee, Samson, and he brake the wicks, as a thread of a tow is breaking when the touch of fire. So his strength was not known. So they didn't know. He lied to her. He told her, that's what it is. Just wrap me up with these green sheets, and if they try to get me, I'll be bound. And they tried to do that. He broke through that. So that's time number 1. Amen? And that time number 10 in verse 10 says, Delilah said unto Samson, behold, you have mocked me and told me lies. And now tell me, I pray thee, wherewith thou might be bound. Again, she's asking him how to destroy his power. And again to him, he lied to her again and said, he said to her, if they bind me fast with new ropes that were never occupied, then shall I be weak as another man. And Delilah took that information to the Philistines. And they came, brought a rope and everything she needed, and he broke the rope like a thread. Verse 13 says, Delilah said unto Samson, hereto thou hast mocked me again and told me lies. Tell me again how you might be bound. She wants to know bad, amen? She wants to know bad because she knows her people are the Philistines. And my daddy used to tell me, the enemy will turn your enemy quick. No matter how close they may be, no matter how friendly they may be, the enemy will show you they're the enemy real quick.
Amen.
Especially when it comes to her people or his people. You got to be careful. Because every time he broke through, she kept on asking him, what's another way? You lied to me. Tell me the truth. And she kept on so much that he got mad at her. He said, it says, and it came to pass when she pressed him daily with her words and urged him so that his soul was vexed unto death. Like my mom used to say, worrying me to death. She worried him to death, finding out what is it that makes you weak. And I'm amazed that he kept tolerating this because he knew what she was up to. But it was the love for her, the want, the need to be assimilated, the need to be accepted by this woman. That's why he kept on dealing with it. And we got to be careful not to let our minds and let our emotions lead us down a path that's not good for us. Don't let nobody tell you what it is that keeps you connected to God.
Amen.
So when she kept on talking and kept on begging, they finally broke him down. She finally broke him down. In verse 18, it says, Delilah saw, it says he told her in his heart, and said to her, and he says in his heart, I mean, she knew he was telling the truth. Finally, she found out what his strength was. She found out what was connecting him to the Most High. She found out what the power of his source of his spirituality comes from. A man who could kill lions with his bare hands. A man who could bring down buildings with his bare hands. A man who could bring carry the whole post of a building on his back and build a new building with his bare hands. All these great things you can do, all these great things that our people have been able to do when you go downtown in some of these big cities, all them old courthouses was built by you.
Amen.
All those buildings, this thing, were built by us, and we have been on the blood in the backs of us for 400 years. But still, nobody knows the secret to your power. But the secret and who you are is in your hair. Metaphorically, that's the only thing that's left that connects you to the Spirit. That's the only thing that's left that connects us to God. Amen? So after she worried him to death, he told her, I have been a razor. He said, there had not been a razor upon my head, for I am a Nazarite unto God. From my mother's womb to the tomb, I will be a Nazarite, and I have not been shaven. If you shave me, my strength will go from me, and I shall become weak like any other man. And 18, as I close, is that Delilah saw that he had told her from his heart. She knew she had broken down. For years, you'll be there, and they'll try their best to break you down. No matter what, little by little, they're trying to break your spirit. They're trying to break your back. They're trying to break your heart. They're trying to break you down. Because the ultimate goal is to defeat the Israelites under the Philistine captivity. And you go in there looking for a Philistine to be your lover. Knowing that she got your ear at night. Knowing your weaknesses. And once you find out your weaknesses, now you have led your people astray. You have now given arms to those who look to kill your own mama and daddy because you want to be like them, because you want to live with them. You want to be like them. You want to work and look like them. So when the boss come and tell you, you might want to cut that. You go find a way to cut that. When the boss tell you need to straighten that out, get rid of those beautiful, strong locks, you go find a way to do that. And the evidence shows in the $3.2 billion that you spent on hair products in 2023 alone. And none of that money circulates in your community. It goes in and goes out, destroying the Israelites. And when Delilah saw that he had told him from his heart, she sent and called again the lords of the Philistines, saying, come here. He has now told me the truth. Then the lords of the Philistines came to her and brought her money in their hand. And she made him go to sleep upon her knees. And she called for the men that caused him to shave off his beautiful locks. She brought him in, pet him on his head, made him comfortable. He laid and went to sleep on her knees. And in her heart, she desired to destroy him. And he loved her anyway and allowed it to happen. She made him sleep on his knees. They called and cut off the locks of his head, and it began immediately to afflict him. And his strength went from him. And she said to the Philistines, be upon thee, Sampson. And he awoke out of his sleep and said, I will go out as other times before and shake myself. And he wist not that the Lord had departed from him. They cut his hair off. He got up mad, said, I'm going to go do this, I'm going to do that. But he didn't know that once his hair was cut, the Lord had left him. And that means the power left him. The glory left him. The connection left him. And it's like you and I, if we continue to destroy what it is that God has delivered us from, if we continue to destroy what it is that makes us men and women of God, if we go and destroy all of that, what left do you have? You left God, and God will leave you.
Amen.
You got to be careful.
Amen.
Don't be so quick to destroy your connection to God just to be accepted by your enemy. Don't be so quick to leave God, because you got to remember, when Sampson cut off his hair, God left him. And if we continue to disconnect from God, he will leave us too. So just remember that nappy is not negative. Amen?
Amen.
Because I know another man whose hair was nappy as lamb's wool. I know another man that was able to take the sins of the whole world in his hand and crush death for me and you.
Amen.
We celebrate him today as we take communion. Another nappy-headed man who loved us so much that he gave his own life.
Amen.
If Jesus can be nappy, have nappy hair, then why can't you have nappy hair? If the Son of God can come from Nazareth, then I'm just as great as he is coming from where I am.
Amen.
And I'm just so happy to be there too. Amen? If Christ can be happy and nappy, then so can I.
Yes, yes.
Because I know another man whose hair was like lamb's wool, who folks talked about and wondered if anything good could come from where he came from. And he walked into the Galilee on an ass and took death in his hand and crushed it on Calvary. And because of him and his connection to God, he loved us so much that I will do whatever it is to stay natural as I can, to stay connected to the source, connected to the power, and they can call me nappy if they want, because nappy is not negative, it's powerful.
Yes, yes.
Amen. 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 Amen.
All right,